I'd like to tell you a quick story because yesterday I got a call. I was actually going to do a completely different subject. I was going to cover something else this morning. And then yesterday I got a call from a former client who's also a friend and said, Mark, I need some coaching right now. So this person is a salesperson. And they called and said, Mark, my numbers have been awful all month. I don't know how I'm going to get through this next month. I don't know how. I don't know what I can do to improve my situation. I'm feeling in a funk. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling anxiety. I don't know what to do. Now, we talked for quite a while, but generally speaking, this is always about one thing. This is always about one thing. If you're experiencing stress and anxiety and depression and you feel like you're in a funk in business, there's also typically only one general cure. Now, there are a few things you can do, and I'm going to give you a few action steps here this morning. Having said that, generally speaking, there's only one thing going on when you're experiencing a lot of stress and anxiety in business, and there's only one thing that cures that, okay? So first of all, what's going on? How do we change our state? How do we, if we're in a certain place and we're not taking action and we're just kind of going deeper and deeper down the little rabbit hole, how do we change our state? How do we get out of this? First of all, what's going on? What's going on in this moment is you are feeling like you are not in control of your own destiny, like you are not in control of your results, like you are not in control of money or finances or what's going on. And when we feel like we don't have control of a situation, again, when I used to practice psychology, and when I was working with clients, it doesn't matter whether you're in business or not. It doesn't matter whether you're a mother or father or kid or you've got weird relationships or great relationships or whatever it is. When we feel out of control, that's usually when we experience larger amounts of stress. So I'm going to give you some examples here, okay? One example is business. When you go, I've got this new startup, or I've been doing well, or the economy's going tanking, or whatever, and I'm struggling right now. What do I do? Will I continue to be able to run my business? Will I continue to be able to do everything that I need to take care of my family, or even to take care of myself? A second situation is midlife crisis type events. Midlife crisis is about feeling out of control in many ways, feeling without, like you don't have a purpose in some ways, where somebody goes, hey, I've just been divorced, I've lost this significant relationship, or my kids have moved out of the house, and now what do I do? Because that's been my focus for so many years. Or I've retired. What am I going to do with the rest of my life? I've got too much time on my hands right now, or whatever. So much of the time, or when a partner passes on or whatever, these are all situations where we feel, again, a lack of control, and we start questioning, what are we doing here? Have we been doing things right? What can we do differently? So if it's true that feeling depression and anxiety and all these things is about feeling a lack of control, what's the cure? What's the cure? First of all, I'm going to give you what not to do in this situation. What you don't want to do in this situation is what most people do. The average person in our society, when they're feeling stress, tend to ignore the stress or try to distract themselves. So what are some common distractions? Common distractions are coming home and pouring yourself a drink of alcohol. That's a distraction. Okay? It does slow down your brain for the time being. It's not going to fix any problems though, right? So addictions, specifically, and addiction can be a lot of things, right? I wrote down alcohol, I wrote down TV, video games, food. All of these things are typically distractions. So TV, if you're losing yourself in Netflix, that's generally a distraction. That's generally a behavior where you're trying to escape the feelings that you're trying to have. Another example, food. This actually, for a long time, and I still struggle with this every once in a while, was something that I dealt with. That when I'm feeling large amounts of stress, typically I have a sugar, a desire for sugar. Hey, Sandy, yeah, you said food for you as well, right? Food is a huge one that people don't pay attention to. I find if I'm at home and I'm feeling stress, I'm going to find my hand on the deep freeze door at some point in time, the handle at some point in time. Why? Because I'm craving an escape, and a sugar high can be an escape in some small way. It's not a massive escape, but it is still an escape, and it's no different really and fundamentally than alcohol or TV or games or whatever it is. That is not how you're going to fix it. If you go to escape mode, what happens is that the problems are still always there. They're still there. And if you're not fixing the problems, then you're not dealing with anything, and the stress is going to come back, and typically in greater and greater amounts, more intensely, okay? So what do you do? How can you start to break yourself out of anxiety or stress or situations like that? The cure is to feel in control, just like I said at the beginning of this video. Make sure that you feel in control. Now, how do you put yourself in control? What if the economy is going haywire, or your market is saturated, or whatever's going on outside of you, and you feel out of control? Well, you know what? You just simply have to start momentum in one direction to start getting control back. I'm going to give you some examples, okay? And there are two ways to start feeling in control. You can work on your mind, or you can start with your body. Start with your mind or start with your body. If you start with your body, the key is to simply move your body in some way. Take action that starts moving in the direction of your goals. Doesn't matter how small the action is, simply take some action. So for example, this client yesterday that I was talking to, what I suggested with this guy was, hey, listen, just go for a walk around the block. Don't take your phone, don't take anything else, simply go for a walk around the block. When you take a walk around the block, your body's moving again. Often you just by taking some action, moving your body a little bit, you can break out of a funk, okay? That's as small as it could be. Or I also said, as soon as you get back, I want you to start taking action towards your business. So that can be a number of things. That could be looking at your numbers and going, what are my numbers and what are my normal numbers, and when am I going to get the next deal? What do I need to do for the next deal? Okay. If you need to talk to 50 people before you find 10 prospects, before you find one sale, well, then you know what you need to do. Okay, look at them and then ask yourself, what is the plan? What are some next steps I can take? At this point in time, you don't even have to enact the plan, because that's typically what you're not going to do immediately. Having said that, even thinking about the plan starts to get you on the right track. Okay, so take some actions. Now, what he ended up doing was he simply, as soon as we were done our call, he ended up calling somebody. Guess what? His very next call was a sale. And that's often the case. The people who are most successful are typically, and this is not the only characteristic, but typically they're also the most persistent in life. People who are super persistent, stubborn is what we call it with children, but people who are super persistent tend to do well in business. Why? Because they just doggedly go after something over and over and over until they succeed. There's a great story in Think and Grow Rich, the book by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It's a fascinating book with a ton of nuggets, golden nuggets in there. But he talks about a story of somebody who was just about to strike it rich in prospecting, in mining for gold, and came 3 feet short, I think is what the story is, 3 feet short from gold. And the very next person that came in found it right away because he was so close. And that's often the case. We are so close and then we quit. I'm going to give you a rule of thumb here. And this is not well researched. This is simply what I found for most people around me, okay? And that is that the work that we do, often the marketing, the stuff that we started in on, takes about 6 months to see a result, a tangible result, to see some sales in business. So you need to go in with the mindset that I'm going to start taking action now, and I'm going to consistently take action for at least 7 or 8 months. Because if you do that, you will start to see success, outward results, and you'll start to be encouraged by that. I've often talked to people who, even clients, who I say, hey, listen, stick it out for 6 months, and they quit at month 3 or 4. Why? Because they're starting to get frustrated, saying, Mark, I'm not having a ton of results yet. And I said, you're not seeing your results. They're internal results. You're changing how you think. You're changing how you act in some ways. But know that the results, the external results, often come afterwards. And that's okay. That's what they are. But understanding that will often help you stick through that 7 or 8 months. And then you'll start to see the results, and then you'll start to be motivated, encouraged by it, and you'll start to take more action. It's all about momentum, okay? And when I said go for a walk, or when I said set up a plan, just on a whiteboard, write some things down. What are my next steps? What am I going to do this week? What am I going to do in the next hour? Taking some action towards your own business. What that will do is it will simply start the action. It will simply start the momentum. What it does is it places the control inside of you, at least some control, a little bit of control. You go, okay, I can do at least this. And if you can at least do this, there's a chance that you can do more. That's the key. Okay. Now I talked about that. That was the body. I also talked about the mind. So with the mind, what you want to do is you simply want to refocus. Refocusing puts you in control, at least some kind of control. This is what I mean by refocusing. And this is something that I do daily. I do this daily so I never get into the funks. Or at least that when I get into the funks, they're very, very short-lived. They're a few minutes rather than hours or days or weeks or months. If you want to do this, this is what you do. Start writing down your goals. Start writing down what you want. Start writing down what you desire out of life. And this could be material things. This could be one of three things. Okay, you can write down what you want to have, so material possessions. You can write down who you want to become. So, do I want to become this kind of person? Do I want to be successful in this way? And the third is what I want to do. So do you want to build a company in this way? Do you want to travel around the world? What do you want to do with your life? And when you write down those three things, goals in those three areas, what you'll start to do is think about them more often. When you start to think about those things more often, instead of what's not happening, that's a key concept in getting out of a funk. Because when we're in a funk, we're thinking about all that's not going to happen and everything that we're not excited about, and we're focused on the depressing things in life, the anxiety-causing things. Our mind is going like this, okay? The way to get out of it is to switch our mindset, focus on something else, and go, okay, what are my goals? The next step after looking at your goals, and I talked about this a little bit even with taking action, was what's my plan to reach my goals? Often people know where they are. So my business is here. I want to take my business here, but what's this middle part? That middle part is a key concept for business, and it's something that most people miss out. They know what they want, they know where they're at, but they don't know how to get there. And simply writing down a plan, even if it's not a perfect plan, even if it's going to change later on, because you'll find certain things work and you find certain things don't work. Even if you don't know exactly what you need to do, simply writing down a plan and then writing a plan of what you're going to do the next day. I write down plans consistently because they make a massive difference for me. I've got a plan for my week, with just 2 or 3 things that I really need to get done. If I get those things done, my day will be, or my week will be a success. And actually, I saw this as somebody else. I saw another coach promoting this, and I thought it was brilliant. What this coach did was he said, simply write down what are the 1 or 2 things you need to do this morning. Because if you do those things, it's going to be a successful day. And if you've had a successful day, if you have like 3 or 4 successful days in a week, then it's a successful week. And if you have a few successful weeks in a month, then it's a successful month. Then a few successful months, and what happens is that so much of the time we're unfocused. So much of the time we waste a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in a week. The difference is that if you have a plan, you have something actionable that you can say, okay, if I do this, I can feel like I'm a little more successful. What that does is it places control within you. Rather than control being out in the nebulous universe, control is within you. I can take some action to help myself. Taking action, building momentum, taking control over some little things in life, that's the key. That's the key to business success. That's the key to relationship success. That's the key to any success you want in life: physical health, emotional health, mental health, learning, growth, school, whatever it is, whatever you're involved in. Taking some small actions and make it as small as you need to start taking those actions will start placing control within your own realm rather than feeling completely out of control. And that is the key to experience less stress. Feeling like you're in control. When you feel in your control, there's no need to stress. Think about other times where you felt in control. Think about times where you were the master of something and you're teaching other people. Now it's not a stressful situation. Think about things that you feel like tying your shoes, driving your car. The things that you feel in control of because you've done them lots, those aren't stressful situations for you. At one time they were. Now they are not. In the same way, place control within yourself and you will start to feel far less stress. Start taking some action, you will start to feel far less stress. The other thing is that you'll start to have some external results as well. Enjoy your day, enjoy your week. If you have any questions about this, feel free to message me in there or comment on here, and I'll be happy to answer them at other times. Take care.